Did a UFO buzz Joe Biden? We have that and a whole lot more to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I'll talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, this story is getting a lot of play, so I thought I'd cover it again. I've covered it 3 times. The first time was actually a Dragon U.A.P. video shared with me by Dr. Robert Shipe, and I shared it with you. And yeah, it appears that a dragon buzzed this plane. And there was also another object, this round sphere. And everybody, including Avi Loeb, is commenting on it. Let's hear just a second of what he has to say.
One thing is clear, there are lots of objects in the sky, and most of them are likely to be balloons, drones, airplanes. So we really need to do a very thorough job to...
Yeah, of course, we need to do a thorough job. That's a good point, Avi. I don't know what that object was. Could it be a balloon? Sure. The Dragon U.A.P. Does not seem to be a balloon, and go check out my video on that last week. A lot of people are reporting that this plane, that the UFO, if that's what it was, buzzed, was Air Force One, but it was not Air Force One. It was a refueling tanker. As a refueling tanker for Joe Biden's escort jets that were escorting, presumably, Air Force One, which was on the ground at LAX at the time. But yeah, UFOs, apparently multiple types, possibly, of UFOs, were buzzing the refueling tanker over Joe Biden's head. Is that, what were they trying to do during that event? Was that a show of force? Was that a warning? Was that expressing interest? Do they even care what we think? Were they just surveilling? I don't know. But the actual vehicle in question is a KC-10 aerial refueling tanker, part of the combat patrol support for the to enforce POTUS temporary flight restriction over the area. The KC-10 is very distinct, and has 3 engines, with the rear engine and the tail. But yeah, so yeah, the story is getting a lot of play. UFO buzzing Joe Biden. That's pretty major. I'm really happy to see it getting more play. That's pretty cool. We'll have to see what that object turns out to be, if it can be debunked as a mundane object. But like I showed in the Dragon UAP video, whether you believe that's a real UFO video or not, I'm inclined to think that that was a real UAP event, and that the balloon or the sphere, whatever it is, whatever it ultimately is proven to be, might show that there's multiple types of UFOs buzzing, over Joe Biden's head. Very, very juicy. But Avi Loeb might be changing his tune about government possession of UFO technology and the deeper aspects of ufology. So I love it. Let's see what he has to say.
Event like the one happened a few days ago, when I had a group of people from Washington, D.C. In my home for a visit to discuss some other physics project. And one of them was a high-level official, former official in Lockheed Martin. And I just wanted to clear my understanding, and I asked him, well, there is this testimony about potentially corporations or outside entities that are outside government that have possession of materials of interest in terms of extraterrestrial spacecraft. And I expected him to say, no, that's complete nonsense. Let's move on to another topic. But instead, he said, it may not be wrong. And so, I hear both.
It may not be wrong. I love it. Yeah, a Lockheed Martin official, a former Lockheed Martin official, telling Avi Loeb privately that it may not be wrong, that some of these companies may have exotic material. So we can start to see Avi Loeb start to swing a little bit into the ufology direction. Maybe the answers don't have to be found on the bottom of the sea with little spherules, if I'm saying that name right. And maybe the truth is, all around us, and it's been here for a long time, and is a lot more interesting than the sorts of things that he's been looking for. I love Avi. I'm so glad that mainstream science is starting to take UFOs and possibility of non-human presence more seriously. I do hope that he begins more interesting research, but at the same time you do have to engage the mainstream and baby steps, right? But yeah, so it looks like Avi may slowly be coming around to actually believing in the presence of UFOs on Earth and possibly in the possession of the UFO control group. But Boris Johnson is not impressed. And then at Daily Mail, he has an interesting quote about UFOs. He says, and so I might as well tell you now, you faithful ufologists who have made it so far in this article, that there is no evidence whatsoever that is available to the British government to suggest that alien life forms have ever existed. That does not mean, of course, that they do not exist. Perhaps the great tapas platter will do a U-turn and come back to, he's talking about Uamuna. I can't say that, the asteroid. Will do a U-turn and come back to land among us, and all the great mysteries will be solved at once. So yeah, Boris Johnson throwing cold water on UFOs. What does he really know? Has he been read into the program? Is he covering up the existence of UFOs, or is he speaking out of ignorance? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Meanwhile, this is exciting. Eric Davis seems to be indirectly confirming the legitimacy of the Eric Davis Wilson notes. This is huge. This is really big, guys. This is really exciting. And a good capture by Sugar and Spice sent this to me. Let's see. Davis has basically confirmed it as far as he legally can. And here we go. The actual quote. Let's see. Dr. Eric Davis himself confirms that the Wilson-Davis memo was leaked from Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell's estate and why he still can't talk about it. They will vigorously prosecute anyone with security clearances who discusses any classified material that got leaked into the public. That's huge, guys. That's amazing. I love it. Eric Davis seeming to indirectly confirm the authenticity of the Wilson-Davis notes, the memo, and all that it contains. Where Admiral Wilson was trying to get access to the UFO control group. He tried very hard. He kind of got into the foyer of the UFO control group. They took him in and basically said, "Yeah, we've been tinkering with some stuff, but we haven't got it to work. Go away now." And that's as far as he could get. And he knew there was more, but he couldn't get access to it, and he was very frustrated, and he was expressing this frustration to Eric Davis, and now Eric Davis is seeming to confirm this. Here's the man himself saying it, but it's an interview with Stephen Greenstreet, and I'm not going to give him the time of day, but I will link to it, and you can view it at your leisure. Meanwhile, Ross Coulthart tweets, Congress hunts for illegal UFO programs as the media shrug, and he links to this article from The Hill. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's basically a rundown of what's going on currently with all the David Grush and Schumer Rounds and all that kind of stuff. And the exciting part is that it seems to be taking this stuff very seriously. It's not a sneering tone or a dismissive or a debunking tone. It's taking the topic of UFOs very seriously. And, this is in a mainstream publication. So I love it, and I'm very excited about that. The most interesting part of the article to me was the admission of the CIA's involvement in all of this. And this is, in a mainstream news media article. I love it. I'll just read it. Moreover, a bombshell Daily Mail story citing multiple anonymous sources suggests that a particular CIA office coordinates the retrieval of crashed or abandoned UAP of non-human origin. I love it. Isn't that great that this is like appearing in national media? This is amazing. Intriguingly, in the early 1950s, the parent organization of that particular CIA office developed and enacted a sweeping government-wide policy to debunk all UAP sightings, no matter how credible, with the objective of reducing public interest in flying saucers. And I just did a couple of videos on that topic showing how the mainstream media took UFOs very seriously, even like the New York Times back in the 40s and 50s. And then all of a sudden, somewhere in the 50s, they didn't. So that is very important to understand when this brainwashing began and who began it. And yeah, so the CIA, of course, was a likely part of that whole thing. It makes perfect sense. Shortly after the implementation of the CIA policy, the number of UAP cases categorized by the U.S. Air Force as unidentified or unknown plummeted from around 20% to only 3%. And I covered this in the video a day or two ago. The U.S. government's newly dismissive attitude toward all UAP sightings, courtesy of the CIA, left countless credible witnesses angry and humiliated. So yeah, some really good stuff in here, and it's just amazing that the mainstream media is now picking up on this, reporting on UFOs favorably as a distinct phenomenon that is not to be sneered at or winked at or eye-rolled at, and even reporting on the government's collusion in the cover-up, the orchestrating the cover-up, all the way up to the CIA. That's amazing, guys. Let me know if you think that's as significant as I do. Meanwhile, from another news media source, demonic forces stopped official investigations into UFOs in the UK. Okay, what do you have to say to that, Boris Johnson? The government failed to properly investigate UAP in the 90s over fears they were caused by demonic forces. And you hear this also from people like Lou Elizondo in the U.S. saying he faced opposition regarding that as well. But what I wonder though. I have a new theory, and that if they were using religion as a cover. That's my new theory, guys, is they were using religion as a cover, saying, oh, we're afraid of demonic stuff and we're not going to investigate that. That's the perfect excuse for the UFO cover-up, right? Oh, well, we can't investigate that. We're not going to even look into it because it's demonic. That's a good excuse for them not to look into it, and it might even scare some others away from investigating it. So that is my new theory, that those people that were giving Lou Elizondo pushback, saying that's demonic, we're not going to study it. Also, the people in the UK that were saying the same things because it's the same narrative, right? And I really don't think there's that many religious fundamentalists in government. I really don't. So, I mean, there's some, but I just don't think there's that many. So I think that was all a cover. That was a smokescreen. That was an excuse for the UFO cover-up. And that was probably put out there in, a deliberate narrative crafted and designed by the UFO control group. That's my new theory. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Boom! And here's an article from September by Terrence McCoy from the Washington Post, the WAPO, talking about UFOs. In U.S., most UFO documentation is classified, not so in other countries. And it goes on, and I'll link to the article below. But the point is that mainstream media is covering UFOs in a big way, in a favorable way, and not in a sneering, eye-rolling way. The brainwashing that may have been begun by the CIA in the 1950s might finally be ending, guys. I love it. This is huge. This is huge. This is bigger than the Schumer-Rounds Amendment, I think, or at least very, very good. It's very, very good. Early days yet in the Schumer-Rounds Amendment. We will see what becomes of that, what information gets released. It could be huge. I mean, they could release the Roswell files, right? Fingers crossed that that happens. But either way, super encouraging developments happening all around us. We got David Grush going to Congress in January. We got Tim Burchett getting a skiff. So many big things happening. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Discord links are below. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider visiting the merch store or becoming a channel member, because channel members are rock stars and they often get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel to check out. I hope you're having a great holiday season, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.